that's a tremendous looking trophy.
Welcome to the number one PlayStation podcast in the Oceanias. My name is Dylan Blight. Joining me, Ashley Hobley.
Dylan, we've had a miracle.
What is the miracle?
A bit of news released before we recorded this episode.
Yes, it did, but I'm sure more will happen while we're recording nonetheless.
Okay.
All right, what is that piece of news? Break the news. The breaking news that'll definitely still be breaking by the time this posts tomorrow
Scoops.
Morning. Scoops.
The Kojima Twitter account tweeted, the countdown of hashtag Death Stranding has started May 29th. Create the rope. And then it's got a photo of an image of Death Stranding with dead whales. And the black ooze coming from the Death Stranding. But yeah, came out before the episode we started recording, which is, if we hadn't recorded the thing we recorded before this, it would have come out after, like it probably would have normally.
Yeah, so we picked the right order to record is what you're saying.
Yes, we did.
What do you think it means?
There was that trailer that Kojima posted snippet of.
Let's promo Twitter video. It wasn't really a trailer. It didn't show anything. It was just
it was a photo of the actual editing of the trailer.
Yeah.
So
I thought you meant he did. There was a video posted earlier today or yesterday or something like that. Death Stranding. 15 hours ago, Hideo posted it. It's just like a hand, and below in the hand, you see a bunch of video of stuff. I don't really know what any of it is. It's nonsense, of course. I can't really tell what's going on. And then all it says is create the rope over the video, and you can't really tell what's going on. But it's a hand. It says create the rope. So that was 15 hours ago, and then as of recording half an hour ago, the Kojima Productions page posted the countdown of Death Stranding has started May 29th. Create the rope. So that's the two pieces we've got. Information.
So I guess the secret is it's not a delivery boy simulator. It's a rope creating simulator.
Well, there's a first for everything. It has to be a trailer, obviously, I think is the thing. The bigger question, and we was discussing this before recording, before we even saw this announcement, which is the other thing I find quite funny, because I was saying we weren't going to talk about it on the show. I didn't include it in the show notes because I don't really talk about rumors unless I think they're worthwhile. But I'll drag them in now. There was a bunch of rumors going around that there was going to be a big trailer for a PlayStation first party title this week. They were rumors that were floating around. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Hearsay, whatever. Not worth talking about. Then we get all the Death Stranding teaser stuff. So I'm like, okay, so that must be the thing. The game, right? That must be the big game that we're going to get a trailer for. So May 29th, May 30th, Australia, presumably how it works out, getting a trailer. But then before we even saw the Kojima thing, and I was talking to you just about the rumor before the show, I was saying how it'd be interesting, like, are we just getting a trailer posted online randomly? That wouldn't make sense to me. I don't see a Death Stranding trailer just being posted. That's weird. You'd think it would be in a state of play, wouldn't you?
You would think, yeah, seeing as there's going to be so many eyes on it, you would want them to put some more eyes on maybe some other things at the same time.
Yeah.
Even though they'll probably just cut it out as a single thing.
Yeah, no, but it's like, isn't that the point?
Yeah.
Like, state of play, use it. It's the same as the Nintendo Directs. It's like, some of the time you can use those, bring in a certain audience and help propel other games because other people have their eyes on it. So, or even then, state of play Death Stranding edition, state of play create the rope edition. Like some Death Stranding specific 10-minute thing that has a trailer plus maybe a little bit more of information or something and whatever have you. And of course, it's also interesting that this is all happening, 2.5 weeks before E3 at this stage? Is that where we're at, roughly? 2 weeks-ish? Something like that? Yeah,
that sounds, that the math adds up.
The math adds up, yeah. So it's like interesting this is all happening at this time period as well, of course. So a bit annoying, obviously, that they didn't just post it yesterday or, something before we fucking record the show. I hate it because the show comes out on a Tuesday, right?
Yes.
Tuesday morning. Most of the time, big news for PlayStation, they announce it after we finish recording on a Monday night. And then the thing actually happens on like a Thursday, Friday or something. And then we don't get to record again. It's just like, sometimes I'm just like, We need to move this show to like
I wish
Thursday.
PlayStation would be more considerate of our recording schedule.
I honestly just think they're out to fuck me. They're out to annoy me. Kojima personally is out to get me, I feel, at this stage. It's just
maybe
treading on my toes, doing all sorts of weird things.
What else are we talking about today?
Yeah, I was like, that's your hot scoop. That's your on the live hot scoop, everyone. Scoops. In the trophy cabinet this week, we have a bronze trophy of Crash Team Racing Adventure Mode info. Pause. I could have changed one of these trophies to be that. Doesn't matter. A silver trophy. Sony working on film and TV stuff. Gold trophies going to PSVR 2 hints. And we hit a platinum with the ability to finally watch the PS5 in action, sort of, kind of. It's in action somewhat. But before all that, I want to talk a little bit about Dauntless. So, Dauntless launched earlier last week, officially open. I believe they had a period where it was in beta or closed beta or
I think it was a PC beta.
Yeah, PC beta of some sort. Like, I know some people have played it already, but obviously now it's out.
I think it's been in beta like 6 months, I think.
Really, Jesus.
From reviews I looked up, yeah.
I looked it up last night and I saw a bunch of people that were talking about it, and I clicked on some random video, and the dude was like talking about it like he'd been playing it for years. And I was like, how long have you been in this fucking beta? But so I played it for like an hour or so the other night just to get my feel for it, because A, it's an Epic game, B, it's a free-to-play game, but most importantly is C, which it's the first game to launch with crossplay from the get-go, like full proper crossplay. So that was an interesting thing to go in and try out. And before I give you my opinions on the game as a whole, I'll say the crossplay thing is cool. It's just weird, but it's cool, obviously, because everyone has their little symbols. So if you're playing with someone on PC, they got like a little PC symbol and what have you. So it's like who your teammates are, what console they're playing on, all these sorts of things. Even running around the hub world, you can just see which are PC players, which are your PS4 players and stuff. So interesting. I want to try it out. You
can form gangs now.
Yeah, you can join console war gangs. The game launched in quite a mess, I suppose. Well, opened in quite a mess. It was very popular. I guess that's a combination of it's just being free to play that's going to have some sort of grab. Obviously, a new free to play game, people will probably jump in, but also just being like from the people who brought you Fortnite. That was it. So
yeah, I downloaded, installed the game, created a character, and then the game stalled out. So I haven't gone back.
Was this launch day?
Because it made me create a character again. Yeah,
really?
Pretty much launch day. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I was at work the day it released, and because I was at work, I was just seeing all the news stories and stuff, people posting about queue times and all this sort of stuff. And I originally planned on trying it out for a little bit that night, but because I didn't get a chance to, and I had enough time to see news stories and warnings and stuff, I was like, I'm just gonna put this off for a couple days or so.
Yep.
The queue time, like when I went to jump in, it said like 2,000, you're 2,000th in queue, and I was like, fuck it out. I'll leave it for a minute just to see how far this comes down. But that number didn't seem right because it only took like 30 seconds and then got me in. So I was like, it was like 2,000, then 500. I was like, okay.
Okay.
Maybe you just got to leave it for a hot second, even though the number, obviously when you see in queue for 2,000, your brain's like, yeah, no, fuck this. And you want to close the game very fast. I just left it for 30 seconds. It got in. So, and then once I was in. You don't have to like queue for every single
everything. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have to load for missions and stuff. You have to queue for that, but I mean that's a bit different. So if you don't know, Dauntless is, as I say, from Epic people, and it looks like Fortnite somewhat graphically and these sorts of things. So if you like the art style of Fortnite, it is very easy to just be like, this game looks like Fortnite. It is a Monster Hunter like game. I say that as someone who has never played a Monster Hunter though, so you can take my comparisons to Monster Hunter with a grain of salt, but the game is about hunting monsters, and it's about doing them with you can do them solo, you can create like private parties, but the game is designed obviously to be played with either friends or just queuing up with randoms to hunt down and take down monsters. And that's the gameplay loop. You're taking down monsters, you're getting rewards, you're building better weapons to either do the same hunts faster and more efficiently, or you're getting items and stuff to build better weapons, to do harder monsters that you couldn't take down before because they need a special type of weapon, or fire damage one, ice damage one, what have you. You kind of have to change up a gear depending on the monsters. And I think as you progress further, obviously like the tactical stuff of it will get a lot more complicated. The first couple monsters you take down are very, they just need neutral damage. You don't need to think too much about it. You just attack the things. So yeah, you have access to this hub town, which lags a lot on PS4 from my experience. I don't know if it'll get better. I would presume it would get better. I was wondering like how much of it comes down to it, the whole crossplay thing and what have you, and combination of so many different people there. But that's also why I kind of wanted to try it out on PC, just for comparison's sake, maybe to see what the difference is there. But I found the hub town running around to be the most laggy area of it, but that is also where you can see other people's avatars running around. It's very MMO.
That's where the most people are.
That's where the most people are. Yeah, they're interacting with quest givers and shops and whatever. It's a very typical hub town thing. There's shops and quests and stuff. And it's fine. There's nothing to do that I could find other than simply talk to the necessary people and buy items and stock up on potions and whatever items to change your appearance and whatever else. Of course, there's a battle passy type thing. I can't remember what they call it. I think it's the hunt pass. Yeah, I think it's called a hunt pass. And there's like a free version, obviously, that you unlock stuff. But then if you buy the hunt pass premium one, you'll get higher rewards and stuff. It's your normal battle pass type situation happening. But then you jump into a mission and different planets. I think are gonna a few more different locations. Planets will probably open up as you progress and they continue adding to the game and so on and so forth. But you'll say like, I need to go to this planet or this location to hunt this kind of monster because some person in town told me to hunt it, blah, 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 blah. And then you go in there and you'll land with 3 other people, combination of consoles and PC or whatever. And you'll be in a low screen and you have a certain amount of time to like change out your gear. It'll tell you, you're hunting this monster. It's weak against this sort of damage. It'll do damage against this. Like, according to the gear you've got equipped at the moment, you have a strong chance of beating it. You have a weak chance. You have a hard chance. Whatever. So you know what you're kind of going in for. And then when you jump in, you can all run around like crazy, gathering up ingredients and stuff that you can find that you can then take back and use to make items and potions and whatever. But when someone finally finds the monster, you then can let off a flare, which I found to be a handy feature. You can let off a flare so then everyone else is like, oh shit, someone's found the monster, better run to where they are. And then you do battle with these creatures, these monsters. And sometimes like in one or two of the battles I did, random other like little critters will come in too to get in the way. And it's like, okay, well, better clear those out before going back to taking down the big thing and whatever. I found the monster designs to be cool from the ones I've seen so far. Like the one I tweeted out a video on about last night was this owl design thing, and that one took me 16 minutes to beat, and it was quite hard. And it said that from the outgo. It was like, your chances of beating this thing are hard. And I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever. let's go team. We've got this. No worries at all. But yeah, so you go in, and I think like the combat is not button spammy. It's not like a hack and slasher, although I feel like you can automatically kind of fall into thinking it is, because it is a light and heavy attack and a dodge roll. So it's very basic on that front. There are combos though, so it'll give you a move list. I don't know how much that is going to unlock with different weapons and upgrades and so on and so forth, but I find it hard to believe it gives you a move list without it being like that's going to be a bigger part of the game as you unlock more and whatever else. But also like if you spam too many buttons, you'll get stuck in like doing all those attacks and then you won't be able to dodge roll. So
they're like queued up or whatever.
Yeah, so it pays to not just spam triangle, square, like just spam in the way. You're doing your God of War, DMC, what have you. Playing it like that, which you can, sure, it doesn't, if that's the way you want to play, then whatever. But it's like, if you're doing the harder fights like I was last night, because I was spamming on one of the ones quite fine. I was like, it's hurting me, whatever. It's not really doing much damage. The first or second fight I did, I spammed away. Then the owl fight, which was quite hard because it was doing so much damage to me, and the rest of the of people I was playing with as well was doing so much damage to everyone on our team that we all had to start like slowing the fuck down, like very quickly into that fight and be like, okay, we actually need to dodge and everything. And because we need to dodge, we need to make sure that when we're going in, we're being like, oh, I'll get 2 attacks in and then I'll get out. But if you spam away, you're going to kind of be stuck there and then you won't be able to dodge roll and then you're going to get hit and lose like half your HP. So, you know, it's not Dark Souls. I'm not trying to say it's Dark Souls by any means, but some element to it because it's also like you can't lock on or anything like that. So, and then other thing that's cool is the monsters, like they'll have parts fall off them, like you can destroy their tails, their certain parts of their body. So throughout the length of the battle, you'll see it slowly start getting destroyed and weighed away at, and by the end of it, before it actually goes down, it'll look a lot different. It'll get enraged somewhat. They'll turn red sometimes, some of them. So but yeah, for the short period of time I played it, I was like, yeah, I can see I'm enjoying playing this. I was having a good time. I could have very easily like stuck a podcast on at the same time and kind of just been like, yeah, I'll just do a couple hunts or whatever have you. And I could see it the same sort of thing. Like if you had a group of people to play with, you could, you know, just sit back, talk shit, fucking hunt some monsters, do what you need to do. I can definitely see the appeal for it, and I'll be interested to see like how it stacks up against Monster Hunter, especially with Monster Hunter's big update coming out. But then I suppose it's that thing where people could jump out, play Monster Hunter, do what they need to do in that game and be like, all right, I finished all the quests. What do I do now? I'll go back to Dauntless, I suppose. Like Dauntless is always going to be there as a free-to-play thing that's going to have weekly rewards, daily rewards. You know, it's that gameplay loop that Epic with Fortnite have kind of got down, like a reason for you to constantly be coming back. So... yeah. Do you reckon you're gonna, after everything I've said, are you like, yeah, just anything that you're like, oh, that scares you, like you got to dodge roll, like, or what?
No, I'll give it a go. Do you suspect that this will get that similar audience to Fortnite compared to a Monster Hunter would say is more like PUBG, I guess, in this analogy?
I know it's weird because they're completely different games, I suppose, is the thing. I don't. Yeah. It's interesting. Because Monster Hunter to me has always been a niche audience, you know, like popular, of course, like there's enough to sustain that genre and that franchise over the years. But I would still say there's not many games. Fuck it. I can't think of any game like Monster Hunter. You know, it's not an oversaturated market of a particular type of game, which is about your gear, your stats, and just hunting one particular monster, which takes ages to defeat in some cases. So, and that's what this game is. It's just teaming up with people and hunting one monster. Maybe further in the game you have to hunt 2 in one mission or something. I don't know, but it's still just a very specific type of thing. But it does have like the thing that can hook people for these free-to-play games, which is the battle pass thing, and it's got a shit ton of like customizable options for the way your character can look, and you can change that, and even your weapons, you can change the color of them, and so on and so forth. So, like all that stuff that people, and that's where all the microtransactions is, which I'm happy with. You know, like you can't buy the best sword in the game and be like, okay, I'm done. You can buy cool looking things and colors and sparkly things and whatever for your character and for your weapons. Yeah. You can also, when you buy the premium version of the battle pass, I think it's like gives you 15 character levels or something, which I was like, I don't know if that's shit or not. I don't really, whatever. Okay. If that's fine.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't really give you a huge advantage, I suppose. It's just like a time skip. It's better than like giving you the best weapon in the game or something, I suppose. But it's still like 15 level. It's a bit different to like Apex doing it because like your level doesn't make a difference in Apex, I suppose. No. You know what I'm saying? Whereas in this game,
leveling actually does make a difference. Like it
increases you'll level up. HP, you'll get access to like you'll get access to like this stat type thing where you can put points into stuff, like some sort of RPG type system.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So yeah, but then it's not PvP, so it's like, what does it really matter? I suppose.
Not really.
Not really, us. Yeah.
Because you would assume it would matchmake with people of the similar levels. So.
Yeah, you would assume so. So yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter.
It really doesn't make a difference. It's just
it really doesn't matter. Yeah.
Time skip.
If there was PvP, it would be somewhat annoying. Then I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because it's not, it's a team-based game. So yeah, I suppose it doesn't matter. But anyway, that is Dauntless. That is the latest craze. The kids are playing it. I don't know if the kids are playing it, but maybe they are. We got some new Crash Team Racing engine that is revving my engines, Ash. Let me tell you, it's getting me going. It's getting me hot and bothered. You know,
Looks like it.
So it's all about the adventure mode, which I've talked about before. It's mainly like one of the things I really love about the original game. Adventure mode, having a proper story, all these sorts of things. So I was very excited when the PS blog. Who wrote this? I should quick look. So PS blog posted by Thomas Wilson, creative director of Beanox, working on the game. So they say the adventure mode. In bringing back the adventure mode, we knew that we had to hit all the elements that made the original so special. The challenges are the same. There are trophy races, boss races, relic races, token races, and gem cups. The characters are backed. Choose from Crash, Coco, Cortex, Polar, Pura, Tiny, or any of the starting lineup characters you remember from the original, and the thrill of earning new characters like Ripperoo and Pinstrip Pontoro. I can never say his last name. It's still part of the fun. However, we wanted to take things a step further in Crash Team Racing Nitro Feud. Instead of just earning the boss characters like the original, players will now have something every time. They'll now earn something every time they win a race. Players will be getting new kart parts, character skins, or kart customization items with every victory. Also, players will now earn the boss characters immediately after they beat that boss, instead of after gem cups, which now unlock a different valuable prize. This includes to earn Nitrous Oxide himself. That is the main bad guy of the game, in case for the uninitiated. And then also says, continuing down below, it says, we're super excited about everything you can earn in the adventure mode, but it's important to emphasize that the story and a great single-player experience are still part of it. There are new intro and victory cinematics that give life to each of the characters' battles. We've spent a lot of time and effort to make sure the hub worlds are more detailed than ever before. Working for each hub world and finally beating Oxide will bring an amazing sense of accomplishment. So I'm pretty excited because they've done a lot. Like, to put it into perspective, the first game had no customization to your card at all. You know, you start the game, you pick which character you want to play as. It gives you a bunch of options. Do you want to play the game as Crash, Coco, Tiger, whoever? You pick that character, and that's who you play the game as. You do the races, you beat the races, you get first, second, third, whatever. You beat the boss, you unlock the next section, so on and so forth until you beat the game, and then you can start again with your new character and do what you need to do. And there was no cinematics, nothing really to build the story other than the fact of there's an alien that's come down to Earth and he's forcing us all to race for some reason. Like, it has an opening cinematic and a closing cinematic, but that was it. There was no like story between moments or anything like that. So for them to be like, you're going to beat races, you'll be able to customize your kart as you're playing, which means that when you start the game and when you finish the game, you're going to have a completely different looking kart and you're going to have fun playing and customizing as you go. That's really cool. We've seen some of the customization stuff so far, and it's really varied and really unique, and I love what they're doing with that. And then also just them being like, we're going to add more story, we've got more cinematics, more fun stuff, because they're very centric and fun characters, so that's exciting. And then also building on top of the hub world, and I've talked about this before. I love the hub world in the original game. I love having to actually drive around that hub world and make my way to the start of the levels, and not just click through them in some menu or something like that. It really breathes life into that game to me, and it's why it stands out. Like, the amount of times to save the game, you would have to drive up to this big giant screen, kind of like you do in Crash 3 or 2. You'd walk up to them, but you have to drive up to them. And I remember where all these screens were and driving around between matches and the hub world. So then building on the hub world sounds really exciting to me as well. I just think everything I read about this game constantly, they're taking it like from what I would expect them to do of a remake of this game. It's like they've done everything more than I'd expect. Like, all this stuff, plus bringing in the Nitro stuff from the PS2 game, which wasn't very good, but they're taking like the good stuff from that game and bringing it into the good Crash game, which is Crash Team Racing. I just think they've really gone overboard, but in a good way, like with exceeding expectations for sure. I think every time I read about it, it's great. Yeah, you got anything to say about Crash Team
I'm
Racing?
happy that you're happy.
That's good. That's what I like to hear for sure.
It's not far away, right? It's for you.
June, mid-June, whatever it was. So a few weeks after
weeks.
E3 though. So
yeah,
got to get through E3 first. Sure
they gave Sonic Team Racing that lead time.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, I presume Activision will probably have released some trailer or information through E3 and try and get people hyped, I guess. Okay, so Sony this week has announced that they're making some movies and some TV shows. So this comes from Polygon. Sony's PlayStation division, Sony Interactive Entertainment, is bolstering efforts to bring its video game properties to film and television with a new enterprise called PlayStation Productions. According to an interview with PlayStation Productions lead in The Hollywood Reporter, the new PlayStation division wants to, quote, give our worlds life in another spectrum. PlayStation Productions is being led by Asad Quizelbash? I tried. An 11-year veteran of Sony's PlayStation marketing group and overseen by Sean Layden, chairman of SIE Worldwide Studios, the new production company will develop and produce projects internally as opposed to licensing PlayStation properties out to Eternal Hollywood Studios. So the first thing they announced was a Twisted Metal TV series, and also confirmed that works on the Uncharted thing is apparently still happening and kicking along. So, yeah, we've got PlayStation is kind of saying, fuck it, we want to turn some of our properties into movies and TV shows, but we know what happens when we hand licenses out to Hollywood. They all fuck it up. So we're going to keep it in-house. Somewhat a very, very comparable to Marvel, I guess, but not like on the cinematic universe scale, but of the keeping it still in-house, you know?
Yeah.
Like
retaining control.
Retaining control, yeah. So it's comparable on that front. So what do you think of the news?
I mean, it makes sense. They're owned by Sony, and Sony makes movies, so it's not a huge leap to go for them to go into the movie business, I guess, sort of. Obviously, there'll be a PlayStation logo at the start of the film or TV series, I guess. Twisted Metal seems like an interesting choice to start off with. I don't know the story of Twisted Metal off the top of my head, but as far as I know, the gameplay is just people driving cars against each other.
I think it's like it's future story. Well, at the time it was a future story. I think I think it was like 2000 something. Well past the date of the future. The original one was set. I think I think it was like someone forced like everyone to fight, like something along those lines. You know, like someone was forcing people to fight. Or there was a competition, fucking Purge Anarchy or something, but something along those lines. I think it has potential for a TV show. I just wonder, like,
what's the tone?
What's the tone? And also, that's not cheap. I can't imagine like a big car combat thing being cheap. It's not exactly like
unless there's very little car combat.
But then it's like it's not Twisted Metal.
Exactly. So yeah.
So I'm interested to see how that turns out. It's an interesting first property to pick, but
and then a TV show. Where's it end up?
Suppose they sell it.
Yeah,
they'd have to sell it. They don't
but
have.
Then the network will be like, "Oh, we want to make these." I don't know.
Unless they're just going to put them on PlayStation Video.
Surely not. Powers was such a success, I know, but.
I don't know, but maybe if they have bigger things, then like they could do it again.
Maybe, who knows?
Maybe they could. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting for sure. I mean, obviously the go-to question is, what do you think they will do? What would you like them to do? What would you not like them to do?
I think I'd like them to do a Sly.
Cooper.
What's his name? Sly Cooper. That'd be pretty cool. That makes sense. They've been working on that for ages, but that makes sense as like a cartoon TV series or something. Mm-hmm. Nothing else really springs to mind clearly. Obviously, the Uncharted game would be cool, but Uncharted movie would be cool, but I'm not like sold on that idea. I don't really want them to do Last of Us. And then everything else is bit too modern, maybe. Mm-hmm. Like, it'd be cool to see Horizon Zero Dawn TV series or something, but
way too.
I feel like that is so current, and what are you going to do?
Still going.
Adapt the game, yeah.
I want them to only touch things that are old or done or something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I don't want them to touch.
They could do something in the Killzone or the the other one.
Well, that's it. Yeah, that one I
Series.
find acceptable. But it's like, if you're gonna make a Killzone TV series or a Killzone movie, don't base it off the games. Base it in that world with an original story.
Yeah,
that's the way you go about it. Because
do the Halo thing before Halo gets to it.
Yeah. It's like, I don't want an Uncharted movie, full stop. Because although they could come out with one, it could be great, and I could be like, yeah, it was great. As much as I didn't want it, it was a good movie. I hope that day comes, because they're still working on it. It's Tom Holland thing. But if I had to pick something, I'm like, don't touch The Last of Us. That was already a very cinematic, amazingly told story. I don't need to see that. I've played it. Uncharted, I don't need to see that. I've played it. It's a very cinematic game. I don't need it. But then also it's like, you can't really do, well, we'll tell a story in Uncharted with a different character. Everyone just wants Drake. Everyone just thinks Drake's it's very different. Something like Killzone, though, you can tell different characters' stories. It's a much larger universe with, big military sides on both sides and civilians in the middle and whatever else, planets and whatever else. They've got a giant universe. At the same time, it's like Resistance. That is another franchise I feel like very similar. You could, because it's, aliens versus humans.
Yeah.
That's ripe for a spin-off or a movie or something. And it doesn't have to directly involve the characters from the games. Other than that, the only other things that come to my mind are Sly Cooper, Ratchet, and Jack and Daxter.
Yep.
TV shows, all of them TV shows, 30-minute episodes or something along those lines, aimed at, what do you call middle grade TV shows? Like, your 12 plus, your 10 plus, that sort of thing. Yeah, that sort of thing. Like your Star Wars Rebels type audience, I guess.
Yeah. You could do other things. Fat Princess would be cool for that sort of age demographic, like an Ape Escape. Those sort of Parappa the Rapper.
Yeah, sure.
That age, there's potential there for that sort of age range, I think.
Yeah. It's the same as like the Twisted Metal thing. I do think, as much as like it makes people go, huh? It does make sense, because it's not a franchise that's known for its story, but like I'm sure there's an interesting lore there, which I can't fully remember, but I do think it's something like someone forces them all to fight. But either way, it's an interesting lore and it's an interesting look and it's, premise or whatever. And you can't fuck it up because it's so heavily based on a certain character or story or something like that, where you could with The Last of Us and Uncharted and these things. And people want these movies until they see them, and then they don't want them. So, just
yeah,
I think the Twisted Metal thing hopefully says to me that's what they're looking. They're like, we're going to stick to the side stuff here. We're not going to dive into the bigger stuff, which is what I hope they do. But either way, it'll be interesting. We won't see the fruits of this for at least a year or a half, 2 years.
Give us a Tokyo Jungle TV series.
Sure. Give me an Infamous TV series. Also, shout out, it was Infamous's 10-year anniversary today. Also, not much to say about that, obviously, other than I would like another game. And Infamous 1 and 2 are fantastic games. They're some of my, I'd easily say top 5 PS3 games. Some of my favorite games of all time. I love it. I even loved Second Son quite, not as much as the first two, but I quite enjoy Second Sons. But yeah, original Infamous was a great game. You could do a TV show set in that world, potentially. Yeah. Especially with the Second Son timeline, where there's a bunch more people with superheroes and superpowers and this sort of stuff. So, potential. So, we finally have seen what the PS5 looks like, kind of. So, a PS4 Pro versus PS5 comparison video has made its online from an investors meeting. This is the exact same, presumably the exact same sort of thing that was shown to, who wrote that article? I can't remember. Whoever wrote that article that Mark Cerny did the meeting with. I can't remember the website now, but Wired, I think maybe. But yeah, so it's from an investors meeting. I don't know how the video is still online. I presume it's only still online because
it's good.
Well, I'm like, did they not sign an NDA? Like, and if they did, so the person who posted this is the tech reporter, Wall Street Journal, the Japanese home-based one, I guess, Japan home-based one for the Wall Street Journal, Tech Journal. Yeah. So they've attended this. They obviously are smart enough to know that if they had signed an NDA, they wouldn't have posted it. It's not like a random Comic-Con civilian leaked video or something. It's a journalist there. So that just makes me think they didn't make anyone sign NDAs. So they obviously don't care, or they were dumb and didn't think to make journalists sign NDAs considering it's an investors meeting, and maybe they thought no one would leak it from investors, but then there was journalists in attendance. Anyway, very weird scenario. Nonetheless, we now have seen the footage. So, and I think seeing is somewhat believing. Not that I was skeptical beforehand when I was talking about the load times and these sorts of things, but I do think it's wholly more impressive, and I'm just looking at it again right now as we're kind of talking, but it's like they show the side-by-side video. They show the whole 0.83 seconds load time for the Spider-Man thing in this slideshow. And next to it, it takes an entire 8 seconds and 8.10 seconds for it to load the first time, of which the PS5 has now done like 5 different slides. And then it goes to this next bunch of footage and it shows the PS4, the camera just move. This is in Spider-Man 2, by the way, I should mention. They show the camera just moving through the city of Spider-Man. On the PS4 Pro, once they get a little bit way, they stop because it shows everything like loading in up ahead still. Yeah. And then with the PS5, or what they say next generation console, but PS5, they just zoom through the city and everything's fine. Everything is keeping up with the pace at which they're flying through the city. So it's one thing to read it on paper, but watching a video, I was like, yeah, fuck yeah. That is next generation to me. Like that is very fucking cool.
That's a genuine step forward.
Yeah, that is a genuine step forward. Did you feel a lot more impressed watching the video compared to when we talked about it in that article?
No, I was pretty impressed when we read it in the article. I thought this is just confirmation that they could make a video that did that.
Yes. like they didn't just fake it in that one-off.
They can. So the proof will be in the pudding when we actually get games, but
yeah, for sure.
It's
and it's
cool.
also
That's what we want.
It's also like it's a PS4 game. Well, okay. Well, if they made Spider-Man for PS5 and it was more graphically intense, like could it still load as fast? Maybe not. But either way, it still shows how big of an improvement it is from one generation to another, which I think is the important thing about it. It is saying, hey, there is a huge improvement here of these next generation of consoles.
That's something people can actually tangibly say and look at.
Yes, because a lot of people are saying...
That's the difference. It's like when we went from PS3 to PS4, there wasn't like something...
There wasn't a huge difference, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, I remember like people were like, oh, PS3 to PS4, I won't upgrade. I don't see that much big of difference. And it was those things, because I always remember when I got my PS4 and I booted up that first night, and the first game I jumped into was Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which was, one of those games that was cross-generational. I never got it on the PS3. I just waited for the PS4 one, because I was like, fuck it, why would I wait? But I remember like starting out the game and being like, yeah, it still looks pretty much the same. But then I got out to a section where I climbed up on top of a ship or whatever, and the water was the thing that made me go, oh, this is fucking great. Like it was spotting a very specific thing that looked 10 times better than what I'd been used to. So, and that is something that people struggled with PS3 to PS4. Like, oh, graphics. It's like, what's the big difference? How much bigger difference is it? So I think if Sony can combine this load time stuff and say, look at this shit. Like, when you're running around in Red Dead Redemption, when you're flying around in Spider-Man, when all these big open world games, The Witcher, what have you. If they can be like, look at all these games, the amount of times, Days Gone, fuck it, sure, they're first party stuff. The amount of times you drive down or flying down a road or whatever, and you see texture pop-ins and whatever. PS5, that doesn't exist. Look how much better they run on this console. Look, nothing's popping in. I do think that is a selling point, especially if they can combine that with, and everything's 4K and 60 frames per second and these sorts of things. I do think, if anything, I think all of that, if that's what they truly get for the next generation, that is a way bigger selling point and thing for people to grab onto than what we had from the PS3 to PS4, I think. No? Do you think it's definitely a lot more like...
Well, yeah, it's just very clear from get-go what the difference is going to be. So,
yeah, I think so. Other little tidbits from this tweet thread from Takashi Mochizuki says, Sony CEO said to ensure PlayStation remain as the best place to play, so SIE to work on keeping and improving relationships with outside game developers. So it's a bit of a throwaway comment, but it's like they're still continuing to work.
Wow!
With,
what a shocking revelation!
Yeah, I suppose they're just
trying to improve relationships with the people who make games for their console. Crazy.
You gotta remember it's an investors meeting though. So that's like the thing. It's like they're trying to remind the investors like they are Microsoft's buying all these studios and whatever. So I think when you're speaking to investors, certain things may sound a lot different than if they were speaking to consumers. You know,
that's true.
Sony then said, in explaining PlayStation's seamless feature, the company used the phrase "anytime, anywhere, without disconnections." It's a Vita. It's a Switch. I don't know. That's an interesting quote for sure. I don't really know what that means, but you know, PlayStation's seamless features. The company used the phrase "anytime, anywhere, without disconnections." I don't think it's a Switch thing though. I think not obviously, but I would put my money on that being to do with cloud gaming type stuff and
cloud downloads and that sort of thing.
Cloud downloads and whatever. That's more along those sorts of lines. I think is what that's going to be. Then it says, a tweet thread continues to say, what is official and what isn't about next generation of console? So it's like this picture that was shown at the thing. It says, what they've announced has been all new CPU, GPU, SSD, backwards compatibility, ray tracing, 8K disc support, 3D audio. Once again, investors thing. So they're going to use lots of big, flashy graphics and things to impress them. And somewhat similar to flashy things I'd use to impress consumers is the funny thing I always find with consumers and investors. It's like you can bait them the same. 8K, buzzword. Ray tracing, buzzword. You know, like
3D audio.
The 3D audio. Well, 3D audio they have in VR. So I'm like, well, that's believable. But the 8K is a very debatable, up in air, like definitely not going to be a legit thing. That's going to be some up-resing type technology. And then the ray tracing thing, also, I reckon that's going to be some tricky sort of thing happening there because I don't believe they're going to be able to actually run proper, like the graphics cards you have to buy on a PC to get ray tracing to work properly is, you know, $2,000 fucking graphic card. So, what they have not spoken about says date, price, games, user experience, country rollout. I did see someone tweet this picture and be like, okay, cool. So everything we want to know about. It's like, well, yeah. And then also it says, then they posted this thing about the critical role of the PS4. It says the PS4 will remain the engine of engagement and profitability for the next 3 years, will provide the fertile early adopter gamer base critical for next gen success. And then it says outstanding roster of exclusive AAA games still to come, and it has pictures of Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, and the aforementioned Death Stranding. So just to back up that those 3 games are in fact going to be releasing on PS4, even if they're going to be a cross-generational title type thing, which is what we'll assume will happen, but they are still coming to PS4. The interesting tidbit out of all this, I think, is the top 2 I find interesting, and like a way just as a company that they're looking at it. So they're saying that in their view, the PS4 is going to basically remain their moneymaker and their main
source of income
for 3 years, which makes me think like they're going about this PS5 the right way. And like every time they speak about the features and the CPU, GPU, these things, ray tracing, 8K, it's like, fuck, how much money is this thing going to cost? But maybe they're actually being smart and they're not doing a PS3 and they're not coming out being like, this console's $1,000. Here, buy it. You'll buy it, won't you? And people are going to be like, no, we won't. We'll buy the Xbox. Like, we've got a Switch. We're not going to buy it. People will not go for that shit. So I think hopefully what all this means is they're like, PS5 will sell at a loss, much like the PS4 did for its first 3, 4, 5 years, whatever. But we will balance that out by continuing to support the PS4. And that will kind of, you know, even things up potentially. But then also, like if you look at it, that's a plus on their side. The PS4 will continue to hopefully sustain them somewhat if they sell the PS5 as a loss. But then on the flip side, them saying that they're going to continue supporting the PS4 for 3 years is also going to be a big plus for a lot of people who are like, I don't want to be an early adopter. Like, are we fucked? And they're like, you're not fucked. We're going to support the PS4 for 3 more years. You've got 3 years. So I think that's a plus for consumers as well. And it says that we'll provide fertile early adopter base critical for next gen. So I think they're trying to be like, if you are an early adopter for the PS5, we're going to try to have heaps of great games for you. We're going to support you, support the console, hopefully be a great experience and because you're an early adopter, we want you to feel like you've made a good choice. But then also on this other side, they're saying if you don't want to be an early adopter, you're also going to be okay. I feel like they're just trying to
please everybody.
Please everyone. What? Yeah. Is there any things from his side that stand out to you or?
No, not really. I think we've covered pretty much everything. Although that sort of confirms that Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, and Death Stranding will be coming on PS4, which we all suspected that it was, and then I guess they're going to be around that period, coming out around that period where the PS5 comes out.
They're going to be coming out within the next 3 years.
Within the next 3 years. To be fair, that is that wasn't guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's guaranteed, I suppose, technically. So, and another little interesting tidbit from this whole investors meeting thing, and so IGN wrote up about this. So, Sony suggested it's exploring PlayStation 5 cross-gen play with PlayStation 4 thanks to backwards compatibility in its next-generation console. During a Sony Investor Relations Day 2019 Q&A session, PlayStation heads indicated PS5 could include cross-gen play with PS4 players through the PS5's backwards compatibility features, suggesting people playing PS4 games on their PS5 would still be able to play online with others who are using a PS4 or potentially even play cross-gen titles across these systems. Deputy President of Sony Interactive Entertainment, John Codera, said through a translator, having compatibility is a positive thing. Not only can a game be played on the next generation console cross-generation, the community can enjoy the games together. Bridging that compatibility has a very important role to play. So I think this is very cool and very interesting because it's like, let's look at one of these big upcoming games that big upcoming like first party in particular, because you gotta remember when Sony's like looking at these features, they got to have to do a lot with their first party titles more than like just in general games. So it made me think automatically of Last of Us 2 because The Last of Us 1, I never touched it personally, but I know that people to this day still play Last of Us multiplayer.
Buddy Watson.
I don't know if he's played it recently, but I know he's a big fan.
He talks about it nonstop.
Yes.
Every episode of Dash Culture brings it up.
If I was like, do you want to play Last of Us multiplayer? I'm sure he'd play. So the thing, so I'm like, Last of Us 2, will it have multiplayer? I would fucking assume so because I think they had a great success with the first game's multiplayer. This Last of Us 2 is going to be coming out end of console. So people who buy into that and their friends buy PS5 and they've got a better version, they won't be able to play, you know what I mean? Like this sort of scenario, this will solve that problem. Early adopters who, like your richer friend or whatever, who can afford to buy a PS5 and you can't, but you both buy The Last of Us 2 on your PS4 and your PS5, be able to play multiplayer still together, even if they're playing on a prettier version of the console. The thing that's going to come up with a lot of people, this obviously is going to be like, oh, what if the PS5 version can play in 60 FPS and the other one's capped at 30, like advantages, blah, 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 blah. Technically, I don't know how you go about it, but I'm like, could they not just, like, if
I guess you could just have an option to play with people only from your generation, I guess.
And like you could change the frame rate, I guess, like, if it's...
Or you could just handicap the people on the PS5.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's just an interesting thing. But yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how much frame rates make a difference.
In those sorts of games, a lot. That's a moment I start caring about first frame rate when it comes to like Twitch-based multiplayer things. Other than that, I don't particularly care too much. But what do you think about this whole cross-play, cross-generational thing from Sony, who for years have been like, cross-play, cross-gen, no one wants to play old games. No. New's the future.
Playing within their own market or with people within their own ecosystem makes the most sense. And they obviously want, especially multiplayer games, want to have as many people available as possible. So it makes the most incredible sense for them to be open to it or want to have cross-generational play. Especially, you think like a game like Overwatch, if that comes to PS5, which surely will come to PS5, you want to be able to play with other PS4 people because that's where most of the fan base is going to be still. So
you'd think so. That's an interesting one, like with Overwatch and these sorts of things. Like, they would have to re-release them, yeah. But then it's. I've never actually thought about it until you said it. I was like, Overwatch. There are a bunch of people that play Overwatch on their PS4 currently. And they probably played thousands of hours of that game potentially, and they'll have to re-buy it. You know, it's like,
I guess.
I don't know about that. Like, I don't know if people would be okay with.
Well, I guess they are backwards compatible, so they don't really have to.
Yeah, maybe they don't. But then it's like, Blizzard may want to put up a better version that can run at higher frame rates and these sorts of things, and then people have to buy them, I guess. I know, it's just that's when we do get into interesting discussion there, because one thing that PS3 to PS4 didn't have that PS4 to PS5 is going to have are the multitude of these what we call
games
live service games, your games of service, and your free to play games that are really popular, and all of those combined together that we never had to really deal with and think about bringing over. There were a couple like that were on PS3 to PS4, DC Universe Online, and like maybe one other, like Final Fantasy Online or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But these things that were, and it's like DC Universe Online was free to play, so it's just it came over. It was
didn't
fine.
pay for it.
You re-downloaded it.
Destiny kind of birthed a genre, arguably. I guess for a paid product.
Yes.
So.
But other than that, we definitely haven't had the amount that we do now to think about like how they're gonna transfer over. So that's it's interesting to see how all the different companies and developers are going to handle that transitional period and how they'll go about it, and if they're just going to try and make a quick dime and buck off people, or do the consumer friendly route of how they transfer the games over, I guess.
PSVR for the players.
So we have some hints at what could be the PSVR 2 coming out, or whatever. I don't know. It's a weird name, PSVR 2, VR 2, PSVR 2. I don't really like that name. But so this story is from Upload VR, which wrote up a really good long article about everything covering this. But all of it comes from. Says here, of all the major VR headsets on the market today, Sony's PSVR stands to gain the most from an upgrade. But what might we see in the next generation PSVR? Senior Vice President of R&D at Sony, Dominic Malleson, has some ideas, and they're pretty interesting. Malleson held a session at the Coliseum 2019 in Toronto this past week, as covered by VentureBeat. There he talked about what to expect from the next generation of VR headsets. To be clear, he didn't specifically confirm the features in question would appear in the unannounced PSVR 2, or what we will call the PSVR 2. That said, this is likely a good indicator of what you'll see in the headset. So, I'm just going to run through. They've wrote a fair bit about each one. We'll just go through and discuss ourselves the stuff they've listed here. But it says like roughly double resolution and HDR. So Malleson said he expects the resolution in the next set of VR products to be roughly double in pixel count, and that PSVR currently displays a 1080p display, but Oculus, HTC, and Valve have already started improving resolutions in their successor headsets. Not only that, Malleson expects to see high dynamic range displays adopted in the near future. HDR brings a wide array of colors to our screens. Blah, 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 blah. So the HDR thing to me is a bit like, I don't know if that's necessary, like, or one of the first features that people should really care about. But the double of resolution, I would definitely say is a big old tick.
Yeah, definitely.
You got to be able to, especially to people who haven't brought into VR yet, doubling that resolution and just being able to see, even in a non-VR demo, like, when you're showing VR gameplay, but like on just a normal YouTube video, but being able to clearly see that it looks so much better. Yes, that's a good way to sell and upgrade the thing. Yeah. 120 degree field of view. The field of view, also known as FOV, defines how much a virtual world you can see. PSVR is said to have a FOV of around 100 degrees. Malleson expects that jump to around 120 degrees in the next generation VR. He says this area has diminishing returns, likely referring to the issues that come with a wider field of view, likely potentially feeling more uncomfortable when moving in VR. So basically it means it'll open up your peripheral vision while you're in the VR headset, and you'll be able to see more around you. And I guess like the plus and negative to this is that it could be a lot more immersive because it's more realistic. But then, as mentioned there, it could also lead to obviously more sickness. But I'd put an asterisk on that and say, like VR in general, we would adopt.
We'll adapt.
We'll adapt. Yes, that's what I reckon about that one for sure. Do you think that's important though?
I don't know how much important it is. I guess with that periphery vision, it's more like at the moment it's like checking out in case I'm hitting something or just like keeping an eye out for stuff. But I mean, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I definitely feel like it's game based too. Like first like shooters.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Fire team and stuff like that, obviously helpful. But other things, I'm like, I don't know, like how much more I need to see.
Do I need to see more of Beat Saber?
Yeah, I don't need to really see. Exactly. So, yeah. Optional wireless.
Yes, please.
Malson noted that user comfort is incredibly important to getting more people into VR. He sees the cable that connects a headset to a console PC as a big hurdle. So this is something that we have to solve in order to get a wider adoption, he said. So, I don't know if and how a potential PSVR 2 could do wireless. I don't know if that's where we go next. I would love for that to be what's next. But for some reason, I've just got like one of those feelings where I'm like, I could see a bunch of upgrades coming to PSVR 2, but I don't know if wireless is there until like the third iteration of it. No. Because there's still going to be hardware limitations and these sorts of things. And you could be like, well, Dylan, the Quest, you've talked, I've listened to Arcade Couch. You said this thing's fucking amazing. And by our accounts, because it came out last week, and everyone I've seen talk about it on Twitter and everything have said the Quest is fucking amazing. So why couldn't the PlayStation do that? But it's like the Quest is designed. That's his whole thing.
As a one thing, yeah. It's not connected to another device.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to like send a signal to another device. It's all self-contained.
I just feel like, the Quest is designed. Its whole thing was designed as we want to do wireless VR. This is what it set out to do. PSVR is currently designed as it's like a secondary version of your PlayStation, but it's like you need the PlayStation to get there and all these sorts of things. I find it very hard to compare. They're very different.
An attachment kind of.
Yeah, it's
as
like
much as that's probably a little bit demeaning to PSVR.
Yeah, it is, but it's still somewhat correct. So accurate. But I obviously I want wireless. Every time I hook up my PSVR, and it only takes me 30 seconds to pull out my box, to hook in the cords and one of these things. But it's still just like the amount of times I've whipped my headphone cord out, I've tangled around my leg, I've been playing Beat Saber and I've accidentally hit the cord up and I've heard bang smack and I'm like, have I broken something? No, it's just like the cord hitting my floor as I've accidentally like whipped it up and down as I'm shaking my move controls around, these sorts of things. Twisted it, got caught on my foot. There's a million problems and I hate them. I hate them quite a lot. And I hate cords in general. I wish everything was wireless. There's some things we can't get away wirelessly. But I'm like, in a world where, like, for instance, this microphone I'm talking to right now, this shit still has to be wired because you can't get a wireless microphone to sound as good as this. Like, we still use wires for certain things because they're necessary to a point. So I've often found the obsession and rush for wireless VR interesting because I'm like, it is such new technology. To me, it's always been like wireless is like ages away. I want to see better controllers. I want to see better graphical improvements, better, all these sorts of things. I've always been like, wireless is ages away. But for some reason, we've got there pretty fast with the Quest. Focus. Yeah, but it's like, it was always a focus. And I think it became a focus, especially for the companies like Facebook over there with the Oculus and these sorts of things, and maybe even with the PlayStation at this front. I think it became a much bigger focus for something I never took into account as someone who was a day one purchaser of PSVR, which is that I was okay to put up with the wires. And I complain about them, but I'm okay to put up with them. I think they're looking at it as imagine all the people who would try this out if there wasn't the wires. I think they're just looking like, and that's probably right. That is probably very correct. Like, will the market for VR be a lot bigger if the entry to it is a lot simpler and easier to understand and easier to set up and whatever else? And they're probably right. It probably is a lot easier in these sorts of things. So I think that's why wireless became such a headstrong thing, I guess.
An issue, yeah.
Yeah. Next one on the list is eye tracking. It says, finally, we have one of the most sought after innovations in VR, eye tracking. This involves a sensor detecting where your eyes are looking on a virtual display. Molson says this could be used as a new form of input. More importantly, though, eye tracking could be used for forward rendering on forwarded rendering on next generation PSVR. This is a technique which a machine powering VR only fully renders the area of a screen that the user is directly looking at. The rest of the world isn't fully rendered, but this isn't noticeable in a user's peripheral vision. This greatly reduces the processing power on the machine. It could well mean we get even more out of, say, Sony's upcoming PlayStation 5 than the base increase in power over the PS4 already enables. So this was the technology in that word. Never fucking heard of it until I read this. Yep. And the whole concept, I'd never heard of it until I read this, but I was on board straight away. Interesting, for sure. I don't understand how the fuck it works. Well, I understand the base premise, but I don't understand how, obviously, the technology works. But I do think that would be very good technology to have on board for the exact reasons they mention. Like, if that is a real thing you can do, like track your eye so that it's only rendering what you're actually looking at and then working as that goes, that is a plus, because that just makes the development and the power and your user experience a lot better. Yeah. What do you think of this? Because it's obviously an interesting technology, I guess.
If it helps reduce the stress, I mean, it makes it's a thing. I don't know how you do that. I mean, because in 1 second you're looking at a certain point on the screen, and then another second you just be looking at a different section. So you'd have to be like super quick, to read your eye tracking as well. So if it could make it focus certain things that you're looking at better, like the other week we were talking about the Everybody's Golf, bring up the tablet thing. Yeah. If I'm looking at the tablet, it makes it sort of focus.
Well,
that becomes clearer. Yeah,
it would.
That would be great.
Yeah, that would be good. Would you be scared of technology being able to track what your eyes are looking at?
Only if it keeps record of what I'm looking at.
Well, we all know the Oculus Quest would if that has it built in it. So
yep, all that's going straight to the US government.
Yeah, and we'll just live with it. But yeah, that's some interesting little bits of information and stuff for potentially what we could be seeing with the PSVR 2. I think it's also just of note, it's an interesting world we live in where, like, we have the PS5 build up happening, but we don't really know when that reveal of the PS5 happens. It's like, are we getting the reveal of the PSVR 2 at the same time, or are they going to wait till a lot later? And in all honesty, I could wake up one day and be like, you know what, that's a terrible idea. They shouldn't announce the PSVR 2 until like a year after the PS5 releases something. But then I could wake up another day and be like, no, they should. It's I swing constantly on how I feel about the potential of that.
Yeah, I have no strong feelings either way. I think whenever they want to release it is the best time to release it. But
yeah, it's like there's pluses and negatives for both, because if they come out the door, PS5, here's the VR2, you can buy the PS5 for whatever, $600 You can buy the PS5 plus the VR2 for $99.99, some ridiculous price, but a price that would make sense given the package, I guess. Or you can buy it separate for $300-$400, whatever it is, Like, obviously, if they came out the door like that, it's like such a wide range of packages and prices, but then you'd want them to have a heap of games for not only the PS5, but also the VR2. So that's why I'm like, it probably won't happen, simply because that's a lot of stuff for people to be talking about, like PS5, VR2. That's a lot of stuff to sell. And if we're going to treat the PSVR and the PSVR 2 as like its own, even though we're talking about it being an accessory, it's its own sort of console, then it would be silly for them to announce two consoles at the same time, I guess. But then also announcing them at the same time directly links them as just setting up from the get-go
Yeah.
that this is the PlayStation ecosystem, and that's the part of announcing them at the same time I like. It stands out. I just like them being from the forefront. You know what PlayStation is? It's this fucking PlayStation. It's a PS4 for the next 3 years, and it's also this PS5 and this PSVR 2. This is it. It's not like the Vita sitting in the background. It's like PSVR 2, PlayStation 5. It's all part of. This is important. This is all.
They've both got
the thing.
V's in them.
They're both very, very, very important. Yeah. So anyway, we'll see what happens. Obviously, a lot of PlayStation 5 VR talk and all these sorts of things happening, and fucking E3's right around the corner, and
Who knows what's going to happen next
who
week?
knows what's going to happen
Or tomorrow.
Who knows? Yeah, we got the Death Stranding thing happening later in the week. Who knows? We're in crazy wild west times. Welcome to your ETC for episode 112. Layers of Fear 2 is out this week, and although I can't help you when it comes to comparing it to the first game, I didn't play it, I can tell you that the sequel has a platinum, which the first did not, which is really good. So get excited about that. And from what I can recall reading about the first one, it had an annoying 100% to get with a lot of missable collectibles. The sequel's trophies, though, are mostly obscure things that could be story or miscellaneous related, but there is one trophy for seeing all three endings, so hopefully you don't have to play it through 3 times for that one. Maybe save states will help. We'll have to see, though. Talking about multiple playthroughs, Warhammer Chaosbane's trophies tell a story, well, 4 stories in fact, because you'll be required to beat the game with all 4 characters in this Diablo-like RPG. No online related trophies though, but a lot of kill 1,000 of this, kill 1,000 of this here, so it'll be a grind for the plat, but hopefully a fun one. There's another bloody POWGI word game coming out. It's called Word Wheel, and just like the previous word games, what a mouthful, it'll simply be easy as fuck to grab a platinum here with a guide. So chuck this on your wish list and keep an eye on it. Warlock's Tower is a top-down puzzle game where you work your way through dungeons. It is also a 10 to 20 minute platinum if you follow a guide for the puzzle solutions, and there are guides up. So also keep your eye on this one. Chuck it in your sales aisle. Grab it when it's on sale. You know what I'm trying to say. Thank you for joining us on the show this week. You can follow me on Twitter at Vivaladil, Vivaladil. You can follow Ash on Twitter at AshleyHobby, ASHLEYHOBLEY, and you can follow this show on Twitter at Plat Podcast. Don't forget to rate the show on Apple Podcasts if you can, and if you can't, a bit of word of mouth helps. Enjoy, tell a friend, pass it along, envelope, do what you need to do. You can join our Discord, check about games, ask for trophy tips, or send in questions and topics for the shows you'd like to hear us discuss at explosionnetwork.com/Discord. And this is, of course, a product of the Explosion Network, of which you can find many more shows, articles, news, reviews, and exciting things at explosionnetwork.com. And you can follow Explosion Network on Twitter at ExplosionPod. Until next week, remember, every trophy counts. Ding.
Every Saturday, catch Arcade Couch Ashley and others when you listen to a brand new episode of Arcade Couch, the Explosion Network's variety video game podcast. Sit back, relax on the couch to chill with your friends and hear about the latest industry news, as well as our opinions on the latest releases and what we've been playing. Just search your podcasting app for Arcade Couch and subscribe for free now. Hashtag Physical Media Forever. Hashtag Physical Media 2038. Hashtag Cuties.